Yes, sir. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Get it, get it, get it. It's the first of the month. Welcome back. Hey, y'all. We finally made it through January, man. We finally made it through January. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get straight into it. I'm not even going to waste y'all time on this week's episode. We are on episode 4, man. Technically 5 if you include the pilot, but of the official start of the series of this pod, that This Starts With Me podcast with your boy Big Homie Hakim. This is episode 4. Super excited, man. Ready to keep this thing rocking and rolling. As y'all know, any podcast over 10 episodes means that you're one of the best podcasts in the world. So we're almost halfway there, y'all. We rocking and rolling, man. I really think that it's been a fun little journey, especially as we start in the year. Big 2025, doing the things that we were most afraid of. And I got a couple stories about integrity and overcoming the fear that I had this week, and also a couple stories of me fucking up in my own personal life. So, be ready for this little ride. But I thank y'all for joining me every single week. Again, episode 4 of This Starts With Me podcast with your boy Big Homie. I love y'all as always, man, and let's get ready. Let's get straight into it. So, this week, cool little week, interesting week. Honestly, the first full week of like work and kind of getting back to normality, in a sense. It's been snowing here in Atlanta for the past couple of weeks. So in terms of like work and life, everything has honestly been kind of like slow, kind of depressing if I'm being real with you, just because it's like you really don't have much opportunity to do what you want to do. Especially like if you're like me, you're a lot more active in the warmer months. You like to get outside, do things that you really enjoy. Like the stuff that you really enjoy is usually outside, right? So walking, hiking, running, breathing the fresh God-given air out there is really something that I take a lot of pride in being a part of. So it's been a little tough, especially as we get through like December and January with it just being so dark. You wake up, it's dark. You get off of work, it's dark as hell. So honestly, it leaves you like little opportunity to really like do what you want to do. But the good thing about podcasting is that this is on a computer, and guess what? We got computers on our phones, ladies and gentlemen, so we can do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it. So in terms of like equipment and improving the pod, I have been getting some more equipment. My lovely lady, the missus, did give me a great birthday gift. Actually, fun fact, my birthday is February 3rd. So if you're listening to this before I turn 27, appreciate you. If you're listening to this after I turn 27, welcome to the ride. It's going to be a new year for me, especially getting to this big old age. I'm getting the unk status a little bit more nowadays. So, we just going along for the ride, man. Just having a lot of fun with it, doing what we got to do. But this week, starting off, I want to get into this Mr. Beast story. So I was watching this last episode of Mr. Beast Games, and the game was to basically split up $1 million amongst 10 people, right? And the first person who won the last challenge had an opportunity to pick the next person, and then that person picks the next person, and then that person picks the next person, Lord have mercy, and then it just keeps flowing and flowing and flowing into number 10, right? So first person picks the person that they trust the most, and cool white guy. Doesn't really matter like who these people are, because honestly, it's just like a thing that doesn't really take account, especially talking about it on a podcast wise. But you pick who you most trust, right? And ideally, and mind you, these are all folks who are like, oh, we're a family, we love each other, we'll never do anybody wrong, like, we'll just be open and honest and tell the truth. A bunch of baloney, right? So first lady, she goes up, gets her 100 bands out the pot, right? Second guy goes up. Now he's on some like, you know what, I'm gonna get what I deserve, because if I don't, and sorry, the point of the whole Beast Games is to win $5 million, right? So at this point, you can either take $1 million strong, or take whatever number that you had in your head prior to come on and get that guala, and it's guaranteed. No matter if you win the game or not, you're gonna get that money, right? So just think about like every debt that you owe, or like everything that you want, whether it be materialistic or like a house or a home, or you want to get to like another country, you want to travel, go to school, like whatever it is that your dreams of, imagine you have that opportunity to snag it regardless of anybody else's feelings at the moment, right? So that's the tricky part. So first lady, she goes, picks 100. Second guy, he picked 223. So now the balance is already off, right? Third guy goes and takes $650,000. Y'all, $650,000 this man took from the pot because he was in debt for over $500,000, about like 550, and then he took 110 more off the top and left the rest of the 7 people to split up $27,000. And guess what the rest of the people did? They split it up as evenly as possible. Now I think like one guy took like a little more off the top, like 5 bands or something like that. But the funny thing is, the guy that took the 650, he was telling the girl that he chose that he was going to take her to the top and make sure that she was protected and doing all this and doing all of that. And he left her with $27,000 to split amongst 6 other people, not including herself. Isn't that insane? So immediately I thought of the podcast, what it's talking about. It was really just like integrity and kind of like who are you when the lights turn off? I know for me personally, I try to do things in the present as if I'm not being seen or heard, because you're always going to be seen and heard. See, the thing with life is that, you're always going to be watched, right? Friends, families, loved ones, God, yourself. Mirrors exist for a reason, right? You know what you look like for a reason. So if anything, like, somebody's always watching you. So I always try to have the attitude or mindset. It's like, okay, who am I when the lights turn off? If nobody is watching me right now, what would I be doing? And I think if you can get yourself to a place of having a moral compass of understanding that every action that you do has a consequence, whether positive and negative, right? And actions can have both. 2 things can be true at once, right? Like, it's not like one thing has to exist without the other. You can have both what you want and get the benefit from it, and at the same time get the consequences from it, right? Like, if you gain something and you had to sacrifice, a loved one, or you had to sacrifice something that you really wanted or appreciated, but you didn't really think it thoroughly, then guess what? That's the consequences of the benefit of what you wanted. So, like, for instance, with this guy, he was in debt. First of all, I don't know how the hell you get yourself in debt for $500,000. Let me tell you all this. I try to live a decent life. Personally, I'm too broke to even think about buying something or accumulating enough stuff worth $500,000. $500,000, bro. Realistically, unless you get lucky on these damn beast games, like, you're never going to get the opportunity to get up out of that, right? So, I understand it. I mean, right, it's different perspectives. If you owed $500,000 and this is the only opportunity realistically to get yourself out of that, and you got 2 kids and you got, a partner, you got a husband, or whatever the case may be, like, are you going to do what you got to do? Probably. But I think what threw everybody off and what kind of threw me off was like the extent. If you owe $550, first off, to say that you're telling the truth, that's a whole nother story. But let's say you truly owe $550, right? To take $650 on top of that, you took the other girl's 100 bands. So instead of leaving them $27,000, you could have left them $127,000. Everybody else comes off with what, 20 to 25 a piece, and now everybody might not be as mad, right? Because the average salary is about 40 to 50K in the U.S. So if I could be able to take home half of that, you know what? I'll call it a good day. I got good experience. I was on a game show. If anything, I might use this as, I might pop off my social media, whatever the opportunities may come from this. Hey, I'll do what I got to do. But golly, dude, to take off extra 110 just because you feel so righteous is just insane to me. So I just really thought that just spoke a lot to his integrity. And of course, the show is super dramatic. So the funny thing is, after he took the money back into his own room, like, he want to sit there sobbing and crying and seeming so, full of regret and seeming so full of remorse. And then 10 minutes later, guess what he does? He goes to the rest of the group and rats everybody out. So, spoiler alert. But, I feel like more importantly, because, I mean, honestly, like, you wouldn't believe it until you see it anyway. So, like, you really got to think about integrity sometimes and understanding, like, hey, not only, okay, like, let's say, look, hey, fine, you got your $750,000, you going cool, right? It's not like you're gonna disappear off the face of the earth, right? So what if people like see you in the street and now you talking shit, or like what if the place that you work, like, you know, people kind of see your behavior? Like, I just feel like it had kind of like a unintended list of consequences that maybe he didn't think about. But honestly, I get it, because I mean, having $1 million, close to $1 million in your face, and the man is like, hey, I kid you not, you can take as much as you want, no consequences, at least no consequence for me. Now, whatever else you got to deal with out there in the real world, that is something completely up to you. And, you know, you got to deal with that. But at least for me, you can take every single dollar out of here, and hey, it is what it is. Shit, Mr. Beast, like, I lost it anyway, so I ain't really tripping about it. But I just thought that was insane, bro. I mean, everybody was like, all right, 100 a piece, you move on, right? Nah, my boy said, I'm going to take $500,000 and then take off another 110,000 on the top and leave the remaining 6-7 people with scraps, basically. So I just thought that was crazy. And you know, just speaking of integrity, it's just like, who are you when the lights go off? So, you know, I just try to think about what I do when nobody's here and try to replicate that when people are around me, you know, no matter if I'm a group of 100 people or from you know, by myself, or if I'm in a town of 10 people and I won't see anybody for 3 miles. You know, I just try to think about who I am and what I do and kind of how I operate, because it's really important. And I really think it's important to you as a person to understand that whoever you are when the lights go off is ultimately what people will get to know once you're done faking it, right? Like, once that representative is over, like whoever that you send to that partner or to your best friend or to your family, sometimes once that facade is over, bro, like, it's, you know, you're still going to be you. So, you know, be you, because all you have is you. And I think, you know, in terms of people acting themselves, I think it's very easy to act afraid sometimes, especially in like positions of authority. I do. Let me tell y'all about some stupid shit that happened at work. So at work, one of our like head bosses, you know, CEO, came around, and I work in the corporate office. And I guess, like, I don't know, bro, like, people have this kind of innate fear of those that they think can control their lives, right? And, you know, he comes around, everybody's freaking out. And I'm like, I mean, like, you know what? This man had to wake up, put on his socks, put on his pants, one leg at a time, put on his t-shirt the same way I did. If you think I'm about to walk around fearful of somebody who can, I mean, sure, can he fire me? Fine. But the good thing is I believe in God, and God got me regardless. So he didn't get me this job. God got me this job, and God's going to put me in another position to be successful elsewhere. So if this is my day, then hey, this is my day, right? Because if I can't control it, then why am I be worried about it? And it's just like, at the same time, if you don't put yourself in position to look stupid or be in a place of tension or friction, then like, you ain't got nothing to worry about. So I just hate when people be freaking out because, oh, somebody who they think is bigger or has more power than them comes around. It's like, cool. Well, you know, good thing is I'm a human being. You're a human being. You're still breathing the same way that I have to breathe every single day, right? You go through the same struggles. The thing is, like, more money, more problems, right? So if these folks who you believe are so high powered and can hold so much power over you and this, that, and the third, understand that they breathe in the same oxygen that you breathe. So what are you afraid of? They go through the same problems that you go. Guess what? The same relationship problems that you deal with when you go home and you arguing with your significant other all night, they doing the same thing. So what are you tweaking out about? Like, I just think people sometimes be just so afraid to just, hey man, like, chill out. Like, you know, this is a person that puts on their pants one leg at a time, and you know, you gotta respect that. And I think if anything, it'll earn you more respect to treat people like regular people. Like, I think if I was in a position of power, like a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, and you know, I'm that guy, or people are like deathly afraid of me, like, I would appreciate people talking to me like a human being, and just being cool, rather than trying to, you know, glaze and, you know, have it all sliding on the, you know, side of their mouth and stuff like that. So I just feel like that was a point of learning from me, to watch how other people operate when they feel kind of inferior. And I understand it. It's like, you know, like, especially if you have a lot of trauma, or you've been in positions to where you may have been fired for like making a mistake, and you didn't think that mistake was going to be the end of your days, you know? So like, I understand it. I get it. I've heard stories of it, but I think at the same time, you have to be comfortable with yourself enough and be confident enough that, hey, if this is my last day, then I know that up to this point, I did my absolute best, right? So if you're comfortable in doing your best and understanding that your best is going to look different on that day, then what is there to worry about? And the last thing I worry about personally is another man. I fear God, not man personally. So, yeah, man, don't ever fear like don't ever fear another person's decisions, because ultimately whatever they decide, like we discussed in last week's episode, was meant for you is going to be meant for you regardless of the situation. And I think it's about persevering and being just so relentless in that perseverance and trying to attend to your goals and doing what you want to do and understanding that it's going to be hard. So part of that integrity part for me is like, okay, if it's going to be hard, then I might as well do it and do it to the best of my ability. Because if I half-ass it, then guess what? I'm going to have to do it again. And I don't want to do it again. So I just think, sometimes it's really about like actions versus words. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like people pick which matters more, which is actions or words. But for me, I feel like they all kind of coincide with one another, right? Like they always feel like it's kind of separate. Like, two things can always be true at once. Now, some things are mutually exclusive, right? Like if something is blue, it just cannot be red. But mixed colors exist for a reason, right? So there is factors and different qualities of different things that can involve to make two things true at the same time. So not everything is so mutually exclusive to where it just can't exist on the same planet at the same time, so I just thought that was an interesting piece. Wanted to get into that with y'all and understanding like, hey man, everybody puts on their pants one leg at a time, so don't be afraid of nobody, dude. What the fuck we talking about? But getting into this next part, I've realized a part of my childhood, it was really just like missing. So I feel like sometimes my memory is just so finicky, and it comes honestly the older I get, the more kind of comes back to me. So it's crazy how finicky my memory can be, but as I progress through life, I begin to remember more. And as I'm remembering, I'm honestly starting to understand how like lack of knowledge I have in so many aspects of just like regular life. Like I had to teach myself how to shave at like 25 because I like finally started growing facial hair, and I didn't know how to fucking like shave. Guess what? I don't like razor shavings. We'll never do it again. But I had to learn that lesson, right? And this week I overcame a big fear, y'all. I went to the dentist. So I have not been to the dentist since probably about 13, 14, 15 years old, maybe. Definitely before high school. And I want to say, gotta be middle school, right? So like maybe somewhere during 6th, 7th, 8th grade. But dude, went to the dentist, and man, I can successfully say that I am no longer afraid. Do I hate it? Absolutely. I don't think it'll ever be a process that I love because that shit's ass. But man, setting up the dental stuff was crazy. So here's the craziest part, y'all. I've been paying for dental insurance for the past year, and I've just now actually like used it. And funny thing is, it only takes about 10 to 20 minutes to set up, like to find a facility, set up an account, fill out the paperwork real quick, because I have everything finally. So I just to fill out the information, follow the instructions, and boom, it's ready to go. And then on Wednesday, I went around like 3:00 and went into the office. It was full of people that looked like me, which was very comforting, right? And I think a big part of my fear was like, okay, if people don't look like me, then I kind of don't trust that they will understand what I've been through or kind of understand my environment or surroundings. But because I don't know, I feel like just thinking, especially in the black community or really in any minority community, like people of color, going to the doctor, to the dentist is just not like a regular thing, especially because, so many of us are honestly broke. We grew up broke, might have been cool, but to have consistent checkups and things like that, like I was having that like when my grandma, she was pretty set off and pretty, consistent, and really had a nice stable home. So I understand that aspect, but having it different and changing over to like, being broke and just taking it day by day and really learning like, hey, you got to really get out here and get it day by day, every single day. truly taught me like, hey, do what you got to do and let God take care of the rest. Because I promise y'all, I ain't been to the dentist in at least a decade. So I'm telling folks like, hey, I ain't been here in a while, so I'll be real with you. Like my, anxiety is a little high in this, in this state. So I just wanted to, let you be aware that yes, I do in fact have a fear of going to the dentist, doctors, hospital, office, any of that. I don't like it. Just because I feel like it kind of resembles a place of not death, but like illness. And I don't ever want to be in a place of illness, right? That's kind of gross. That's like not a good feeling. So I had to man up and buck up and do that. And y'all had sat in this, you sit in a chair and they tell you, oh, what's been bothering you? Is there anything? Sometimes like my canine teeth are sensitive. So I told them about that. But I was like, really just my main concern is kind of just bill of health. Like, am I okay? Like, have I been doing good? I brush at least once a day. I do use that mouthwash for sure. And I use some pretty good stuff. Not gonna lie, some pretty expensive stuff. So I hope that, I pray that it had been working. And guess what? It did. So if you want some dental hygienic recommendations, let me know and I'll get you right. 10 years plus going into adulthood, no cavities. We clean, baby. Pearly white, stay pearly. So I just want to tell myself, congratulations, Hakim. Good shit on that, my boy. I know it was a big fear for you, so good job overcoming that. And if you got something that you need to do, go ahead and take care of, man. Just go ahead and do it. I promise you, it's not as bad as you think it is. And if it is as bad as you think it is, at least you can get the help that you need. So there's nothing worse than delaying yourself success because you want to be lazy right now. So, and this is coming from a person who literally paid for insurance. I mean, probably like $50 a month. Now imagine, $50 over a whole year. That's a lot of money that I could be having in my pocket. But I was literally paying for an insurance that I'm not even going, that I was literally refusing to use. Now here's the crazy part. Like I said in I forget what episode it was, but insurance is a fucking scam. Why? Because why am I paying for it every single month? And then I got to pay money when I get there after the services because, I got to do a little deductible or whatever. Because, by the way, you got to pay after you pay to get the insurance. And, that comes with a monthly rate or whatever the case may be. Or a pay period. You pay it by every pay period. Why is it that I pay for every paycheck and then appointments are set up every 6 months? Can anybody make any sense for that? Does anybody have an answer for that? Now, I see why people be out here wilding, shooting people because, bro, I'm paying X amount of money for something that I'm only going to use once or twice a year at best. Like, if my health is great, I will only see you once or twice a year. But I'm paying you 24 times a year. Isn't that crazy? You see? And it's just like, whatever, bro. But, it's just another frustration of just, living here in America and being an adult and finding out what being an adult is about and teaching myself what I feel like I should have been taught. But the good thing about going on this journey is that hopefully somebody on this other side can learn a little bit earlier than what I learned it. And hopefully you can, make better decisions earlier to help yourself out later. I pray. And, if the Lord blesses me with a beautiful bunch one day, alongside, beautiful wife, I pray that I teach them and give them the ability to go ahead and take care of the business as soon as possible, because the longer you wait, the heavier the consequences are, right? And every single time that you found yourself waiting and you finally did it, A, it wasn't that hard to do. B, damn, I wasted so much time and money getting it done. I could have just had it done, right? So big 2025 is really just about learning those lessons, and just trying to progress and really take those mental challenges and try to do your best with them. And speaking of mental challenges, it's been a long ass month, bro. I'm not gonna lie. If I were to sit here and say that this month was the best month of my life, I'd be absolutely lying. Like, there were great parts, absolutely. This podcast really made the weeks worth something, because I know that if I focus every day, I'll have something to fucking talk about. And this week, it was just like an exhausting week, and I felt myself kind of dwindling down in my energy and kind of, fucking up. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, fucking up in my relationships, kind of like my friendships. Like, I ain't been as responsive, And I know I started off this podcast saying like, I want to be a better friend, like be a better friend, be a friend's friend. And that, it's kind of been lacking, but I am proud of myself in the sense that I am able to recognize it. The problem that I was having before was I wasn't able to recognize it, or if I did, I didn't give a fuck. Right. So I've been fucking up, lacking emotional maturity and not understanding that everything ain't about me. And just because I try to explain how I feel about it doesn't like that. And that does in fact make it about me, so I just understand like, hey, sometimes it's truly better to shut the fuck up, and not because of like, oh, I can't get it out or I can't talk about it or whatever. It's just like time and place, time and place. You can say this shit later. If you really care about it, you'll remember later on, and then, or take a note of it. And then when it's an appropriate time, you'll be able to talk about it, so that's just like led into like subpar work effort because I just be tired at work because I don't feel like doing shit. But ultimately it's just like a realization of delaying my own success. So that like leads back into the integrity part of like, who are you when the lights go off? Because when nobody's around or like everybody else seems to have done what they needed to do, or either are cheating or kind of not putting in the work, but kind of seems like they're having success. Like, when it kind of feels like you're behind and lacking behind everybody, that's when I feel like the lights turn off, at least in the sense of like, the world. Like, I feel like when you feel like everybody else is ahead of you, you feel like you're not seen, or you feel like you're kind of behind a shadow in a sense, but it's really just the lights turning off. So you got to decide who you are when the lights turn off, because if nobody's watching you, you can go out and, be nefarious, or you can go out and not take care of your business or try to find shortcuts to get to where you really want to be, where you're really just delaying your own success. And again, this is all just bullshit I'm telling myself, literally like telling myself while I'm at work on my computer, like, hey, who are you when the lights go off, man? Like, if you do this when nobody's watching, you'll be, it won't matter if somebody else is watching or not. Like, you have to be able to propel yourself. And this is when like motivation fails, discipline prevails, because motivation is really only going to last you a little bit, no matter what the situation is, right? You can be the most motivated, but the most lazy at the same time. And it's crazy because that's exactly how I feel. Sometimes I just feel like I'm a motivated, lazy person who can like be disciplined. Like, I can take care of the business, but as soon as I know the business is done, or like enough business has been handled, boy, I'm taking the foot off the gas. And not to say I don't want to be like that. Like, I always want to keep the foot on the gas, but I want to make things more intentional, right? Like, if I'm taking the foot off the gas, it's because I know I took care of business and I did everything that I needed to do. So I just feel like this is all kind of wrapped up to me being more intentional and understanding like truly, truly, truly every single decision that you make does affect the other decision, and it affects maybe a decision that you made in the past that you haven't seen the effects from, which is kind of hard to think about, right? Because it's like it can almost put you in a decision paralysis situation where you have an abundance of decisions around you. You kind of get overwhelmed to where you just freeze, right? Like to where you just stop. And I feel like you definitely don't want to get to that point because things really, might not work out for you as you really want them to. Water break, hold on. Ooh. Well, let's give it up to the lack of ums and the lack of clearing throats. Why? Because I made an adjustment. I decided that today I was not going to blow down like a teenager, and I was going to relax, have some good eats and take a shower, wash my locks and things like that. Just got my hair done last week. Wash my locks and chill out a little bit, and then do the pod, and then, turn up after this. So I figured I'd take care of business, do what I got to do, up the quality a little bit. The ums and the throat clearing was bothering me personally a little bit, especially because more people are going to be watching as the impressions grow. More times than not, I feel like people would listen to the latest episode and then kind of backtrack depending on what they think about it, so I think, it's all about improvement and doing what you got to do. Finish your breakfast, do what you got to do. Finish what you started. Catch yourself while you're falling. I feel like a lot of times we know that we're falling and we rather wait until we hit rock bottom than to go ahead and make the adjustments that we need to do to pick ourselves up. Kind of like New Year's resolutions, right? Like if you know it's around November, December, and you're like, man, I ain't really done shit in the gym all year. Like I ain't been active, or I ain't been working hard as I really want to. I'll just start it in January. Like you can catch yourself falling in the act, like in the middle of it, and just go ahead and push and be cool. You know, like go ahead and fix yourself while you're falling. Like imagine in November, you turn it around, and then in January, you're in such a flow state to where it's already a habit, whether it's like fitness or reading or like spiritual, or just you got a new job or you doubled up on another job, and like now you're in a flow of, okay, now I can handle 2 jobs and social life, or you know, like you can find yourself making steady little improvements on a day-to-day basis. Then I feel like that's when you can catch yourself while you're falling. So there's a famous saying, at least up in New York in the basketball world, is just finish your breakfast. You know, don't leave food on the plate for somebody else to come take up, and don't ever starve yourself of opportunity because you want to be comfortable right now. And this is stuff I'm literally telling myself probably like every hour of the day, just because it kind of helps me mentally push through. And ultimately you get to the point to where you don't have to tell yourself that. It'll just be like habit, right? Like I can wake up at 6 o'clock and be fine and not really like think about it. Oh my God, I almost forgot, y'all. Yo, I threw my fucking back out, dude. So y'all know how I've been running these miles, right? So last week I did a personal record. I broke 5 miles in that thing. Appreciate you. Either I need new shoes, or I just need to work out, or probably a combination of needing new shoes, needing to work out, and needing to stretch. Because y'all, when I tell y'all my back was hurting after the run, and then I went and hooped, right? So this is where things got a little scary, I'm not gonna lie. I went and hooped, played basketball. After the first play, bro, I jumped and I just feel like something slipped in my lower back, and I was like, oh shit, I might be done for. Like I thought it was cooked, not gonna lie. But let me tell y'all how crazy God is. Depending on how like my feet were positioned, like if I was running my tippy toes, I'd be fine. Not like tippy toes, but like if I ran on like the ball of my foot and not really use my heel, then my back really wouldn't be like engaged. So I kept playing for like another 2 hours. And I'm talking because, bro, literally I walked in, put my shoes on, did my little warm up, did like my first like active move, jump, came down, and bro, I was done for, y'all. I don't understand how the fuck it happened. Like, I will be real curious, and I'm a little fearful, and I'll just be real, a little scared that it will happen again. But I know that my recovery process is usually pretty good because I take my recovery very serious. So, I get on the heating pad and I get on the ice and I stretch every day, so like I know how to fix it, especially like once a thing. But my fear is that it'll come back, especially because I want to run more. But I think what I need to do is just balance it out, right? Like I can't just wait till fucking Saturday or Sunday and then run 7 miles and be like, all right, I'm good for the week. Like if I broke it up and did like, 1.5 to 2 every other day or something like that. And even if it doesn't feel very, rewarding, at least I know I'm taking care of myself and making myself stronger. So now I have to rehab. And the thing with the back is like, it's super scary because that's where like your sciatic nerve is. And really, y'all, it's like, you don't understand how much you use your back in everyday fucking activity until you fuck it up. Bro, I couldn't bend down worth a damn. I couldn't sit down. Like I could sit down, but if I wasn't in a perfect position where I was comfortable, it was just uncomfortable. I could barely sleep. I can't even get out. I could barely I would have to here's a problem. Like imagine like you laying down, right? And then you get up and you are fixing to get out of bed and you try to lean up, just off the street. Cause usually if you're, healthy and strong in a normal day, you just get up, no assistance needed. You call it a day, right? Bro, I had to use both of my arms, push myself off the bed just to sit myself upright, still sitting on the bed. So now I'm sitting in like a chair position on the bed, leaned over because my back is in aching pain. Then I have to grab my desk and put my right hand on my right knee, push myself up with my arm pulling the desk, and then reposition, snatch the chair so I can raise myself up because I'm 6'4", and I have to go all the way to the damn near ceiling just to straighten out. And all that is just pain. So now I'm finally up. But once I'm up, it's like I'm kind of cool. I can go. But now it's like, guess what? Now I have to go to the bathroom. And I have to sit back down. Or I have to go and bend over and wash my face. Like, bro, are we serious right now? So honestly, this happened like Sunday. Monday hooped. Tuesday was hell. Wednesday was hell. Thursday was pretty fine. Yesterday, pretty smooth, no issues. Today, a little sore, but I think I just got to stretch it out, do some exercise, and I'll be fine. Like, bro, it's going to take at least another week or two until I'm, like, comfortable, at least to the point where I can get back heavy on it. But I know rehabbing it out, I'm going to do some core exercises, get my back stronger, get some abs stronger. Because if you don't know, when you have, like, a strong midsection, you have a stronger back as well. So your core is everything from under your chest to basically like to your knees. It's the core of your body. So when people say core, it's not like your abs. Abs and core, your abs are in your core, but your core are not your abs. Does that make sense? Kind of like how like a rectangle is a square, but a square, like back and forth. So your core includes a lot more than whatever you think it would be. So if that bad boy ain't strong, it's pretty easy to get injured. Now this is like my second major injury. Actually third. Fucked up my left knee. That shit was awful. And fucked up my left shoulder from lifting. So I fucked up my left shoulder from lifting. Barbell bench. Never did it again. But fixed it. And now it's honestly as healthy as ever. Honestly, it hasn't hurt or anything like that since. I got it pretty healthy. My left knee, it's actually pretty good. Really no issues there. But I gotta get back into like a regimen, at least working out, lifting, and it ain't gotta be heavy, but just like lifting something at least 2 to 3 times a week. If I can jog 2 to 3 times a week, and then I can do my endurance running, I think like my body will hold up and I'll be fine. Especially getting 27, like I'm getting in that physical prime, so I think physically, it's gonna be real fun this year. But boy, yeah, had to tell y'all that story, man. I threw my fucking back out and it hurt so bad. Literally got on Amazon, ordered a heating pad. So I sit on that heating pad for probably 30 minutes to an hour a day, which is so comfortable. And then I bought a huge ice pad, to ice that bad boy down. And then I sleep with a pillow. So if you have back problems, get a pillow, lay it in between your knees. On whichever side that you sleep on your side too, folks. Don't sleep on your stomach, your neck, your back, your spine. You're not gonna like that shit, bro. I promise you're not. And don't sleep on a hill. And what I mean by the hill is sleeping on 10 pillows, on top of 10 pillows, because you want to be comfortable. The bed is a huge pillow. Think of it like that. You're already on a huge pillow. You don't need 4 of them under your neck and back and shoulder, and you be all discombobulated, and you be all messed up. Actually, the missus pulled a chest muscle because of how she was sleeping. So when I tell y'all, get your sleep right and you'll be fine. The second I started sleeping with the pillow in between my knees, y'all, it literally unlocked actual sleep for me, for the first time in like months, I feel like. So yeah, man, the older I get, I tell you what, it's definitely more opportunity to learn more about yourself. And I feel like that was kind of like the theme of this week, which is learning more about myself and how I act in the red. How you act when you're tired and fatigued says more about you than how you act when you're energetic and you're all good and you feel like you're all happy and everything is running on 10, So I feel like this week, especially being the last week of January, but like the first month of the year was just so tiring because it's exhausting trying to be intentional every single day and make the most out of every single day. Like, you're going to be tired, and then on top of that, when you're trying to do your best every day and you get hit with them ups and downs, right? Like, you feel like you're getting smacked and punched around like Mike Tyson in his prime with a glove, and then you still got to get back up and go do your best the next day or the next hour because it just don't stop. Like, it's tiring, so give yourselves a pat on the back, especially if you've been listening every episode, going through this journey with me, man. You did it. You did it. And I was telling one of my coworkers yesterday, I said, she was coming, she was really hard on herself because she was going through some personal things and she didn't want to like look weak essentially in front of people's eyes. And I told her, I was like, well, if you was watching yourself on the other side of this window, I think you'd be pretty proud of how you're handling the situation, So if anything, think of integrity like that. It's like, if you were watching yourself right now on the other side of this wall or on the other side of this window, would you be proud of what you're doing? Would you be happy of what you see? And I know for me this week, I was fucking up in a lot of situations. I definitely was not proud of the person that I was acting like, but I was proud of the person that I was trying to change to be in order to fix those issues. I'm very proud that I was able to recognize and understand the harm that I was causing in the moment, and understanding that A, is not permanent, B, is just a very emotional time, and C, time truly heals all, right? So you're gonna fuck up, especially the more you try to be your best self. When you are fucking up and like you snapping out on people, or you're not really like doing things or handling ways that you wanted to, especially when you feel it like immediately, you really have that true feeling like not guilt but like remorse of like, damn, I should have like I know that wasn't the right way to handle it. Like I feel like that's when like you operate in the red zone, when you really fatigued, and that's when you really get stronger. It's like, when you're running or when you're exercising and you are exhausted, but you do that one last rep, that one last set, and you get it done. It's like, okay, like I'm really like that, So that was really my story for the week, man. Other than that, I did finish second place in my fantasy football, lost in the championship round. Now, I'm not a football head, so for me to finish second place, hey, you boys like that. I kind of know a little bit what I know, man. So, who are you when the lights go off? Don't be afraid to handle your business. If something's been on your mind that you really know you got to take care of, I know it's hard, but go ahead and take care of it. And for me, like literally, y'all, I'm sitting in the dentist office with them scraping the fuck out my teeth. I mean, bro, every metal hook and cranny, they was tearing me up. But I made it through. Understanding that they are there to help me. My doctor's name was Miss Lasagna. So very appreciative. Hey, salute Miss Lasagna out there. Spell like the food, I promise y'all. Miss Lasagna, you the GOAT. Appreciate you. Who are you when the lights go off? If you had the opportunity to get everything that you wanted at one time at the expense of another person's dream right there next to you, and you had to witness it, would you do it? What would you do? Words or actions? Which matters more? Don't be afraid. We all put on our pants and socks, one foot, one leg at the same time. But yeah, for me, dog, I ain't gonna lie, it's been fucking up, and I was like, you know what? I will fix this. Not because of how it makes me feel now, but because I don't ever want to feel this feeling of remorse and guilt ever again. And I also don't want the other person who was affected by my actions to feel how they feeling again, So think about others, think about thy neighbor, love your neighbor as you would love yourself. And I'm gonna pull up today's verse for y'all really quick, man. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up this show here today. It was a really good episode. Proverbs 16:3 says, before you do anything, put your trust totally in God and not in yourself. Then every plan you will make succeed. What y'all think of that? I like it. Especially because if you don't put everything in yourself and you put trust in the Lord, it'll be a lot easier to get time. It'll be a lot easier to go ahead and get through. Proverbs 20:30 says, sometimes it takes a painful experience to make us change our ways. Right? And that's exactly how I feel this week. I had a few painful experiences this week that honestly was like, dude, you gotta change your ways. You cannot do this shit again. Like that shit is just not okay. So finish your breakfast. Sometimes you gotta go through that painful shit just to go through the good shit as well. But at the same time, you gotta start something, right? You gotta keep it rocking and rolling. You gotta start stuff, because guess what? This starts with me. This starts with you. It starts with us. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the fourth episode of the This Starts With Me podcast. I'm having a blast with this thing, man. I will see y'all next week. links, everything below, social media below. Love y'all to the death of me. See y'all next week. Peace out. Ooh, see y'all next week. Peace out. Thank you for your time on this week's episode. I got one more request for you before you head up out of here. Check us out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else that you may get your podcast. We're going to continue rolling this thing out on every other platform possible, so that way you can go ahead and chat with us, hit us up, give us feedback, share with your family and friends on other platforms as well. We are on Instagram, Twitter, so yeah, at the TSWM pod. Everywhere else, look us up. Thank you again for your time, and I'll see you next week.